Blog Talk Radio.
From Boulder, Colorado, it's a late night, and we're happy to be up over the top radio. I'm your host, George Thomas. This is the fifth show in our fall event series. Fall events, because though we've been putting a lot of emphasis on the Silver State 508, the Texas time trials got underway today. We also, of course, have the 508 coming up, and then No Country for Old Men also taking place in October. That's on the 25th. And Director Dex Took's going to be joining us next week. Busy day on the show. Tomorrow we've got David Hasse, who's going to be checking in live via the Cardo BK1 as he's racing the Texas time trials. And then we have Marco Ballo joining us tomorrow night. Speaking of the Cardo, take a moment to check out Cardo Systems, that is plural, C-A-R-D-O systems.com, where you'll find the Cardo BK1 and the BK1 Duo priced at 40% off all month. It is a month-long Labor Day sale at cardosystems.com. It's a fantastic price for the Bluetooth communication unit. You can talk to your racer if you're a crew. You can talk to your crew if you're the racer. Talk bike to bike. You can call out from your BK1. If you've listened to our shows during RAM, you've heard us do interviews with racers that are chatting with us while they've got their BK1. It is the flagship, the gold standard for communication in ultra racing, so check that out. Also, listening to the show, we're having a Cardo giveaway, so you've got a chance to win a BK1 Duo, which is 2 units. Just listen to our show, and we've got a Cardo word of the day, or word of the night, as like today. And those people who give us the correct answer, you can message me that answer on Facebook, or you can like us on Over the Top Radio and send your answer there. The person who has the most correct answers is going to win a BK1 Duo. In case of a tie, we will decide the winner via drawing. Our guest tonight, she's a mother of 4. She's so busy she can drive her coach crazy, according to him, and she's one of the dark horse favorites in the women's division at the upcoming Silver State 508. Sarah Cooper, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you staying up and doing this interview late in the evening. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I just got the last kid to bed about 3 minutes ago, so.
Well, I'm glad we weren't calling you to wake them up. So 4 kids, how are you able to train?
Well, they're a little older now. My oldest is 13, and then I have 11-year-old twins, and my youngest daughter is 9. So, it's not like trying to do this with little toddlers. They can take care of themselves, and, they're very responsible kids, and they aren't, at school during the day, so I can get some of my training done then.
So, but when they were toddlers, did you allow yourself to completely fall out of shape, or did you have an exercise regime that you followed?
No, I probably could have done something, but no, I really didn't do much. In my 20s, I was a casual runner, and then I ran a very slow marathon in my late 20s, and then I essentially took 7 years off while I had kids. I was either pregnant or nursing for a number of years, and I really didn't do anything until my youngest daughter, Logan, was about 1 year old, and then I took up running again. But yeah, I got a little heavy and very out of shape, which wasn't entirely necessary, but my husband worked a lot of hours, and with 4 little kids, I just didn't have a lot of mental energy for running or anything really.
He's got a pretty interesting job.
Yep, he's an infertility specialist. So. And
you were also in healthcare as well?
Yes, I worked as a cardiology nurse practitioner for a number of years. When my youngest was born, she had severe asthma, and so I had worked part-time after the kids came, and once she came along and had all that trouble, I just ended up staying home. I couldn't put her in daycare, so I haven't worked for about 8 years.
So have you officially retired, or do you think you're going to go back?
I'll go back doing something. My nurse practitioner license has lapsed since I haven't practiced in 8 years. but I still have an active nursing license, and I can work as a registered nurse if and when I'm ready to go back.
So you were saying you were a casual runner. What led you to the bike?
When we moved to Des Moines, my husband and I were both involved in martial arts, and we happened to be downtown during the Hy-Vee triathlon for a martial arts demonstration. And so I watched this triathlon, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I have to do this. So I bought a beater road bike and learned how to swim and decided to do the Hy-Vee triathlon. And then I did really well, and I did triathlon for a number of years. And cycling, for some reason, has always been my best portion of the triathlon, and so that's what I've stuck with.
So how did you enjoy it more, or did you just see that you were faster at that
I just
discipline?
seem to be faster at cycling than I am at running or swimming. I mean, swimming's hard. If you don't grow up a swimmer, it's I suffer from adult onset swimming, so I'm not a very good swimmer. I'm a decent runner. I've become a much better runner in the last several years, but cycling has just seemed to come naturally to me. So I'm not sure that, I have any gift for it or anything. I just have worked hard at it and had some good results.
So Over the Top Radio, we're visiting with Sarah Cooper, who is a dark horse favorite in the upcoming Silver State 508. So a lot of people would take triathlon, go to the bike, and maybe start doing criteriums or some road races, cyclocross. What was it that led you to ultra?
I've always liked longer distances. I like to just ride and go places. I like to travel. And when I first started doing some of the ultracycling events, I would just find stuff on Google that looked fun to go do it. My very first century ride was a brand new event up in northern Michigan. It's called Michigan Mountain Mayhem. And so for my first century, I went and did this crazy climbing event that had like almost 9,000 feet of climbing. I had no idea what I was getting into, So I just find this stuff on Google, and I've always done really well at the longer distances. Frankly, just riding around for 45 minutes really hard didn't excite me. At this point in my life, I wanted to go places and see things, and I don't know. I guess that's what interested me about ultracycling.
And so you decided to get a coach. What led you to Mike Wilson?
I needed some help after Sebring. I just kind of winged it for that, and I ended up injuring myself shortly after the race. And so, I just started searching online for people who, have done RAM and do coaching and, understand the 508 and that kind of thing. And I found Mike, and I really liked, his story, and everyone I talked to had really great things to say about him. So fortunately, he was willing to work with me. I'm very blessed.
Now, Sebring's got a 6-hour, a 12-hour, and a 24. Did you first do a 6 and a 12, or did you look at that and just go, I'm going to jump right into doing the 24?
Well, I wanted to do the 508, and I wanted to do it this year. And my resume was pretty light. All I had done was that one Death Valley double century in October. So I needed at least a 24-hour event to get in. So that's why I just jumped into the 24. Well, it's either going to go well or it's not.
And how did you train for that, and what did you do for your nutrition?
Nutrition, I pretty much just did what I've always done for Ironman and stretched it out a little longer. I struggled with nutrition quite a bit during that race, actually. It seemed like after midnight I just turned into the human garbage can. I would eat anything they brought me. And that didn't really work out so well, but I've refined that since then. And as far as training, we had, one of the worst winters on record, so I was on the trainer constantly, 20 hours a week on the trainer, just doing, whatever workouts I could think of to, keep myself interested and going. So, yeah, I didn't get outside much at all last winter.
Now, was there a time during the 24 where you just had that, what am I doing out here, or feeling kind of overwhelmed by the distance?
Nope, not at all.
It's actually very good to hear.
It's a fun race. I don't know if you've ever been down there for that, but no, when you're on the loop, by the end of the short loop, you're ready to get on the track, do something different for a while. But really, it's very fun with all the people down there on the track, and it was just kind of exciting. And I'd never done anything like that before, so I really enjoyed myself.
Over at the Top Radio, we are visiting with Sarah Cooper, and now is your chance to win your Cardo BK1, or at least work toward that. Our word of the show is spotted horse. Spotted horse. Write that down and send that to me via Facebook message, or like us on Over the Top Radio and send it there. And your name will be down with everyone else who's been sending these in to win a Cardo BK1 Duo. Back with Sarah Cooper, who signed up to do the 508. So I'm sure you heard of the 508 when you were out doing the Death Valley Double. And at the time, it was the Furnace Creek 508, so you were actually getting what would have been a course preview. How were you affected when the course changed?
I had planned all along to do it this year. I've been dreaming about doing this event for a number of years. So, when they changed the course, I have to admit I was disappointed. Some of the challenges about that course seemed a little overwhelming. The fact that it's at altitude and, maybe a little bit colder. But, I wanted to do it. I'd mentally committed to doing it. And so, I'm doing it. And I'm excited about the course now that I've, researched it a little bit more and actually spent some time at altitude this past weekend training. I think it's going to be fine. It's going to be a great race.
Now, where did you do that?
I did the White Mountain Double last weekend.
And how did that go?
It went well. I finished both days. Had great rides both days and did fine at the altitude. And it was a little hotter than I expected. We've had a pretty mild summer here in Iowa, so just getting rained on a lot more than spending time in the heat. So I had a little trouble on Saturday when it got hot. But other than that, no, I had a great weekend.
Now, did Mike work that into your training, or did he have you kind of keying on White Mountain and then backing off and building again for the 508?
No, it was pretty much worked into my training. This was like my last big weekend.
And on White Mountain, do you have to have a crew out there, or is it fully sagged?
It's fully sagged. Both days.
So how did you come up with your crew? Who did you get to take care of you when you're at the 508?
I have a great crew. My crew chief is Rob White, who's actually racing down in Texas this weekend. And Kyle Robinson from Kyle's Bikes in Ankeny, Iowa, he is coming along. And a friend of mine, his name is Darren Monroe, he's been one of my training buddies for a number of years. So he's going to come along and help out. And they're a great bunch of guys, and I think we're going to have a great race together. It's going to be a lot of fun.
What do you feel is your biggest strength, and what do you think is your biggest weakness?
Oh, gosh. That's always hard to quantify. I think my biggest strength is I'm fairly determined and disciplined. I really don't quit very easily. Weakness, gosh, I'm still working on nutrition. That's always a work in progress for me. So,
what are you going to start out eating? I'm sure you and Mike have talked a lot about nutrition.
Probably not as much as we should have. I'm still, I work off a variety of, gel and liquid and CarboPro and just a lot of the standard endurance type products. I still gravitate towards those products that are sort of triathlon focused, like First Endurance products and those kind of things. You just sort of get used to the same stuff. But
do you feel like your medical background has helped you for some of that?
A little bit. I think I have a pretty good understanding of electrolytes and, hyponatremia and what all that looks like and how to avoid it. So, yeah, I would say that does help.
And what are your plans after the 508? Are you going to see how that goes and then look at some other events, possibly longer, or where do you see yourself going with ultracycling?
I think I would like to do some longer events, but yeah, it's going to have to just wait and see after the 508 how that goes. And even if I have a terrible race, I don't think that would really deter me from moving forward and doing longer distances. Mike and I haven't really talked a whole lot about the training involved in that, so I can't say whether for sure I can get some of that longer stuff done with the 4 kids and the obligations I have. But I would like to move on after the 508 and look at some other events.
Now, Sebring, totally flat. White Mountain, I know, is a long climb. You come back down, you go back up. How do you train for the hills?
Well, Iowa's not flat. We do have a lot of hills. You can do a lot of climbing work on the trainer. You just prop the thing up and climb for however long you need to. But really, most of my climbing training has been done on gravel roads and gravel races. We've got a lot of just relentless gravel hills here, and some of them are just gigantic. So I feel like, I don't get as much climbing in as, people who live out west. But when I do go out west and ride the mountains, I don't really feel like I'm at a huge disadvantage living in Iowa.
So with the climbs you're able to train on around where you are, you're not intimidated then when you come to one of the longer passes that you're going to have to be climbing. I'm sure the grades are less. Yeah, the grades are a little less steep than what we have here. Some of the bigger hills here, they're 9%, 10%. Some of them go up to 18 to 20%. So we've got some real steep stuff here. But, it's shorter, so you just have to do a lot of repeats. Now, how did you get into gravel? That's a blast.
Yeah, well, we have Trans Iowa here. And so I just had started reading, the race director's blog and heard about it. I've had friends that have done it, and I just really wanted to do it. And so this year I did do it and did a number of gravel races and had a really good gravel season for not knowing at all what I'm doing. But yeah, gravel riding is just a whole different style of racing. You have to carry a lot of your own stuff. You don't have crew. Half the time you don't even know where you're going, and so it's fun.
Now, we had Christina Mahaiscu on last year who had just finished Trans Iowa, and we had a great chat about that race. That had to be a blast for you.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, I had injured myself after Sebring, so I spent most of the spring recovering from that injury while trying to get ready for Trans Iowa. So I didn't go into that as fit as I had hoped to, and I actually re-injured myself during the race. So, and during the night we had rain, and it was 30 degrees, and you got hypothermic. So it was just the last part.
Okay, maybe not that big of a blast.
It was hard and it was fun at the same time. So I was really thrilled just to finish that and be, one of the few women that have actually managed to finish that race. So I hope to go back next year and try that again and, do it uninjured.
Now, this injury happened twice. Is it cleared up? Anything you're worried about when you're racing the 508?
No, I'm not at all worried about it. I've had trouble with my ankles. I had sprained my ankle, when my son was a baby, so, 13 years ago now. And at the time, I just didn't have time to ever go to the doctor or seek treatment. And turns out I probably had torn some stuff in there really badly. So it's, now that I'm in my 40s, it's catching up to me. But it's generally not an issue when I bike if I take care of it. The problem with Sebring is I just overdid it and walked on it funny and made it all worse. So no, I'm not at all worried about it for the 508.
Over the Top Radio, we're visiting with Sarah Cooper, the Spotted Horse. And Spotted Horse is our Cardo BK1 word of the show. So write that down, send it to me via Facebook message or like Over the Top Radio and send it there for your chance to win a Cardo BK1 Duo. Sarah, what are you like mentally when you're in a race? Are you watching your competition, or are you totally zoned into yourself and what you're doing and you really don't worry about what's going on with anyone else?
I have to say it really depends on the race. This year, because I'm so new to ultracycling, I'm really just kind of doing my own thing and riding my own race and making sure I stick with my own power zones and pacing and nutrition. I'm not paying so much attention to other people. You know, in smaller local races or triathlons, yeah, you're watching what everyone else is doing. You know, you don't want to get left behind or, you know, let your competition outrun you because you're waiting till the wrong time to make your move and that kind of stuff. But yeah, for ultracycling, no, I'm still pretty much just kind of doing my own thing.
I chatted about this with David and Adam, but this is kind of unique. You've got an out and back. So you're going to see your competition a little more than you would in a typical ultra race, other than, of course, Sebring, where you're out there doing laps with a number of other people. But in a race of this format, that's pretty unique. So when you see another woman coming the other way, are you going to look as strong as you can and as fit as you can, or are you going to start acting like you're really hurting?
Oh, I would never act.
Or are you going to ignore them all and just ride your race?
I'd probably just smile and wave. You know, the women are generally pretty friendly. So I don't know that we're quite as cutthroat. Even though we're racing, you know, I think we all race just as hard as the men do, you know, and women want to win just as badly as men do, but we're pretty friendly about it. You know, it's the same thing at Sebring. You know, when you saw the other women, they were all very encouraging and supportive, and even though we're all, you know, trying like heck to win this thing. So it's a little different. Yeah, there's no pretending to be in pain or whatever out there. None of the drama.
Now, mentally, this course is going to be tough. Loneliest highway, and you can see that road for miles out in front of you. How are you going to combat the possible mental boredom?
I'm really not worried about being mentally bored. Any outdoor activity is less boring than the trainer. So you're talking
there you go.
Spent the entire winter on the trainer. This is going to be fantastic. So I mean, I guess I got a little taste of that this weekend at the White Mountain Double, because you drop into those valleys and you can see for miles. And you just feel like that mountain you're never getting to that mountain. And then when you do get to that mountain's huge. So, yeah, I know what you're saying, but, yeah, anything's better than my basement. I stare at my basement wall for hours, so outdoor is great.
And is there any part of the course, I mean, you haven't been on it, but looking at the profile and everything, is there a part of the course that you're especially looking forward to?
The finish line?
There you go.
Yeah, really. I mean, the
what's
whole
your
course,
goal for the finish?
You mean as far as time, or
just
other than
time?
Finishing?
What are you kind of hoping to? What are you pushing yourself to do?
You know, I really don't have a good grasp on how long it's going to take me. Yeah, no, I'm not even going to wager a guess as to when I would cross. I just want to finish, and finish feeling decent. You know, after Sebring, I was pretty beat up, so I've come a long way this year in terms of strength and being able to get off my bike and stand up. So I'm looking forward to finishing this and feeling good. After doing the double last weekend, I feel really good. So I'm just excited about how far I've come since I started working with Mike and just how much stronger I've gotten this year.
The double sounds like that was a great training ride for this. So congratulations on a good finish there. Last question, what do you feel has been the most significant advice that you've received from Mike coming into this race?
Oh, gosh. He is like a fountain of wisdom. I've gotten so much good advice from him. It's really hard to narrow that down to one thing. Wow. Probably just, that he's always encouraged me to just focus on my own race and do what I know I can do and not, get distracted by what's going on around me. That's always been pretty helpful in keeping me focused at these longer things, and just not, riding too hard at the beginning just because you're excited, that kind of stuff.
Excellent. Well, Sarah Cooper, thanks for joining us. Again, Sarah Cooper is the Spotted Horse. So when you're following along the 508 website, be sure to be cheering her on. And again, tomorrow on our show, we're going to have David Haase checking in live via the Cardo BK1 from the Texas Time Trials. We're also going to have Marco Ballo on tomorrow evening. Next week, we're having Bob Mayansky, as well as Dex Took, Scott Lukart, and some other racers as well. So lots of good stuff coming up on Over the Top Radio. Appreciate you listening and really appreciate our partnership with Cardo for our fall event series. And again, check out cardosystems.com and their 40% off Labor Day sale, which is going on all this month for the Cardo BK1 and BK1 Duo. Again, to get in our contest, word of the show was Spotted Horse to get your chance to win a Cardo BK1 Duo. Sarah Cooper, thanks very much for joining us. Really a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun.
And for Over the Top Radio, I'm George Thomas.